Alright, the most controversial topic of them all, the Marauder. Oh my god, the amount of pussies on the internet, I swear to god, man. Some of the reviewers for this game are just absolute pussies. And people who say he breaks the flow, like, oh my precious flow, it's being broken. Why do games have to cater to us all the time? I probably don't actually mean everything I'm saying. Everyone is entitled to an opinion, and you shouldn't feel bad about giving one. But if you're going to request that something be removed from a game that effort and time has been put into making, then you can fucking suck my balls.
Do not challenge me.
Hey there guys, Ultraviolence here, welcome back to my channel. Today we're reviewing Doom Eternal, or at least we're going to go in depth on some of the things that I really want to talk about regarding the game, my own things that I care about, plus some of the things that have been controversial on Twitter and on YouTube as well in other reviews and whatnot. If you are looking for a should you buy this game kind of review and you don't want spoilers, you should probably turn away right now. This is not that kind of review. This is you go in knowing that I already love the game. It's pretty evident from my gameplay videos and my playthrough series that I loved this game very, very much. This game knocked my socks off, alright? I'm not going to pull any punches. It seriously, I loved this game so goddamn much. It's everything that I wanted Doom 2016 to be. It's everything that I wanted this game to be after playing Doom 2016. Honestly, I knew this game was going to be good, but I had no idea the campaign was going to be this damn good. It really surpassed my expectations in a lot of ways, and I'm so happy with what id Software have done. I'm so happy that they pushed further beyond what the old games were, you know, with new monsters, new mechanics, new everything, okay? Cutscenes, lore. They pushed themselves in areas that they honestly didn't have to push. They already had a great formula in Doom 2016, but they said, nah, we're not stopping there. We're going further. We're getting in there. We're going to figure out how to take Doom to the next level, and I think that they did it. I think they succeeded. 10 out of 10 from me. The campaign was just bloody beautiful. I've never felt adrenaline like this in a video game before. I've never felt fire under my bum like I did while playing this game. Some of those Slayer gates were so intense, especially the Art Complex one. Oh my god, man. Those two tyrants. I know a lot of people said the tyrants weren't that hard, they're just big dum-dums, but my god, man, they put the fear in me. I don't know about you, but me, yes. I was scared. I was running for my life. So before I just go on and on about how much I love this game, let's just get into the topics. What I'm going to be talking about today are things that I mostly care about personally as an old school Doom fan, first person shooter fan, who has been looking for an experience like this for so long, and other things that have already been talked about in other reviews that I kind of disagree with and, you know, feel like maybe I have a different take on it. So the list that I've got here has multiple bullet points under some things, so I'm going to read out the main topics and show the rest on the screen. Okay, so the topics that I'll be covering in this review include gameplay, level design, platforming, secrets unlockables, Fortress of Doom, progression, difficulty, extra lives, master levels, enemy design, super weapons, Slayer gate, HUD design, boss fight, and Urdak. Fair warning, by the way, there are some things that I cover in this review that a lot of people might disagree with, or could come down to me just like, you know, not being good at the game or lacking some kind of knowledge. And that's fine. Like, if there's a problem like that or you disagree, feel free to say so in the comments. The best thing about there being a new Doom game of this quality, you know, that is reaching so many people, is that, like, it's actually just fun talking about the game. It's fun talking about Doom again with so many people. Disagreeing with people's opinions is a part of life, and if you disagree with some things I say, then that's absolutely fine. Feel free to correct me on anything that I might get wrong, or things that you just think are freaking stupid. One thing that I cover in this review is the sound the Arachnotron makes when it dies. Alright, so I'm telling you, man, it's pretty stupid what I say, but I do think it. I do agree with what I say. So let's go to gameplay. I've already said it enough, I think, but the gameplay in this game is just a huge total step up from Doom 2016. Doom 2016 was a great start for the reboot of Doom. I've always thought that Doom 2016 felt like a beta. It felt like, you know, they started off with nothing, you know, they started from scratch, and they just tried to bring old school Doom into the modern gaming generation. And that's all they had to do with it. They had to get out a game that worked, that was received well, and they did that. They had no reason to push boundaries, to push their limits. They just had to get out a functioning game with the Doom spirit inside it, you know, and they did. Doom Eternal is what you get when you start at that point, when you've already got a functioning game that works in a modern setting. This meant they were able to really push themselves and do what they wanted to do the whole time. They went in knowing that the game worked, knowing that people liked the formula, and they had all the confidence in the world to go and make a freaking epic experience of a game. 10 out of 10 from me, all the way. I loved every minute of it. The weakest part of the game for me was the start. And that says something, because the start of games is always weak. First levels have to introduce you, get you familiar, slowly build you up over time, you know. If it got worse at the end of the game, that's when things start getting a little bit shit. But it didn't. It just went up and up and up and up. It just kept impressing me, and I loved it. Something more specific to do with gameplay that we will talk about right now is the ammo economy. And this also sort of builds into the more expansive gameplay stuff that we can talk about, like the chainsaw, the flame belch, the glory kills, the blood punch, all the stuff, the abilities that keep you alive and also keep you having fun non-stop. The loop is so damn addicting. Can I just say, right here, right now, if you think that Doom Eternal has an ammo economy problem, you suck. You suck. I'm telling you to your face, you suck. There is no problem. If you refuse to understand the mechanics that the game gives you, and you refuse to adapt to what the game wants you to do with the equipment that it supplies you, then you suck. Alright? I'm not pulling any punches there. Learn, man. Learn the game. Play it how it's meant to be played, and then make your opinion. I think the gameplay loop of chainsawing to get ammo back, flame belching to get armor, blood punching and bloody glory killing for health, it is just pure bliss. It is violent martial arts in the most beautiful form. It is a godly loop id Software have created. It is just beautiful. It is magical. It's a dream. Another thing about the ammo is that I felt, combined with the chainsaw, I felt like the ammo pickups that were put in the maps themselves were actually really good as well. Like every time, at least towards the end of the game, when I started getting better at it, I started like seeing and noticing ammo a bit more. It really, like, there was some clutch moments versus a marauder in one of the later levels where, like, I was really low on health and I had no ammo. I was looking for a guy to chainsaw, but I couldn't find one. Out of the corner of my eye, I spot some shotgun ammo on the ground and I'm like, yep, this is it, I win. And I beat him. Thank you, ammo. Thank you, id Software developer who put that ammo there. I praise you. You saved me. There is no way that I could ever take criticism of this game seriously if the person says there is not enough ammo. That person is a fool, they're a fraud, they're phony, they suck. Level design. Let's go in on the level design. I loved the levels in this game. Kind of need some music playing right now to get me in the mood. I'm sitting in the Fortress of Doom right now, and the background music is very like dark and depressing. Let's go find a soundtrack. At Doom's Gate. Oh, this is the one. Yeah, this is it. This is getting me in the zone. Level design. So obviously in level design we'll talk generally about all the levels, talk about platforming and the water sections. We'll start with general. So I believe one of the ways that Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are different is in their level design. I believe the levels in Doom 2016 were made to be appear like real functioning places that just happen to be overrun with demons and things like that. Whereas Doom Eternal levels were made with the primary focus on challenging the player in fun ways. I believe the priority in Doom Eternal's levels was to give the player fun and interesting challenges and push them in different ways with different kind of arenas with different monsters spawned in different places, much like the older games of like Doom 1 and Doom 2. That's how they were as well. Because back then they couldn't make places easily look like real functioning places. So the focus was always how to make the most interesting and fun situations for the player to deal with by combining interesting monster spawn placement with interesting level design. And I believe that Doom Eternal is much more like that than Doom 2016 was. Doom 2016 had a really cool, dark and like realistic atmosphere. I can't remember which level it is in Doom 2016, but there was one that stands out to me that actually fits the Doom Eternal mold more than any of the others. It's the one where you start where there's literally like a yellow and a blue key door right in front of you in the middle. And then like once you've done both keys, you it drops down, you go down underneath or something. That level to me felt really reminiscent of an old school Doom level where the arenas were like these just cool like tight rooms that force the player into these uncomfortable situations. I believe Doom Eternal really capitalized on that kind of design philosophy. Like for example, I think in the first level there's that section where just before you get the super shotgun, you hit a switch and then the floors drop down into this square room where there's just blood all over the floor and there's the fire things going up around the room like up in the air. and there's just like mancubuses spawning in there, arachnotrons, freaking I don't know what else, the guys you punch that explode. Like that to me really was like a cool arena, and that's to me is like the big difference between Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 aside from the combat. Like in terms of level design, Doom Eternal nailed the fun side of things. Yes, some of the places do look realistic, like functioning places, but first and foremost they are interesting, they push the player in different ways, and they you know, id Software weren't afraid of making people uncomfortable sometimes in these really tight encounters with these small rooms and sometimes big rooms and big areas with space you don't even go to during the fight. But it's different, man. It gives you options when arenas are like that, and some arenas deliberately take options away from you and force you to fight with just like your instincts, and I love it, man. That is Doom level design at its core, and I believe id Software really fleshed it out. Even in my least favorite level, the Mars Core mission, the only reason it's my least favorite is because it's the one that I got the most salty in. It didn't occur to me at the time, but when I watched my gameplay back after playing that map, I realized my biggest mistake was using the ballista too much in areas where I could easily fall off. I kept blasting myself off the edge and going, what the fuck, what's going on, what is happening? But it was my fault the whole time, just trying to get away from a freaking Baron and trying to ballista him, and then off I go, see you later. My biggest problem with that map is that, like, I mean, honestly, that level is my least favorite from the whole game. All of the other ones are phenomenal. The first one's probably the lamest because it's the first level of the game, whatever. Arc Complex and Super Gore Nest, and the one where you go to the Maker Realm, the Khan Maker, or whatever that place is called, I can't even remember. Those three levels are easily my favorites. They were so damn cool. I love them so much. Mars Core mission where you get the BFG, on the other hand, I got very salty in one of the arenas. Very salty. But most of it's my fault for being, you know, having that one-track mind sometimes after playing for so long and just doing stupid things, getting salty, and out of frustration doing even stupider things and blaming the game for my own mistakes. The problem that I had overall with the Mars Core mission is that the platforming took center stage in too many areas. It really felt disjointed, going from one floating rock to the next to the next. I don't know, man, somewhere along the lines that map felt like it lost its identity. It didn't really know what it wanted to be. But like, that is such a light criticism, because I could very easily go into that level, play it a bit differently the second time, and enjoy it much more than the first time, and I probably wouldn't have these issues at all. So I'm going to blame myself mostly on that, but I can't ignore the fact that that is my opinion on being my least favorite level. Kind of sucks being negative, you know. I don't want to be calling out the least favorite. I should talk more about my most favorite, but I would be here forever if I did that. I literally loved all the levels. Art Complex blew my mind. It was so freaking long. I think that was the one that took the longest for me to beat, and I didn't even die that much in it. I remember, like, it just took a long ass time, but I didn't get bored. It was a long mission, I didn't get bored. It was fun all the way from start to finish. It was just a pure, exhilarating, adrenaline-filled experience, and I loved it. And then there was the master level, which we'll get to later. I also wanted to mention one of the reasons why the Super Gore Nest level stood out to me so much, and why I really liked it. I know some people don't like the totems very much and think they're kind of bullshit, or just like, you know, a bit silly, I guess. Like, I don't understand why someone might think that. The introduction of the totems in that Super Gore Nest level was hard. How often do game developers add some new difficult like mechanic into their game and not like spoon feed it to you? Like, you know, a mechanic like that normally in most games would be introduced and it would be like piss easy the first time just so you understand it, and then, you know, they would ramp it up slowly over time. In the Super Gore Nest level, that totem, like first totem encounter was freaking hard. It was like balls to the wall, run. Like, if you don't figure out that you need to go on all the teleporters straight away to try and find the right room, like, you're just gonna run around in there like an idiot, like with your bloody head cut off. Lucky for me, I have pretty decent reflexes, and I'm just used to the sort of Doom frenetic, frantic gameplay, so I just kind of like just winged it and kept shooting until I was like, hey, I should probably go in that portal, and I eventually found the totem. And like, that to me, just, id Software, man, how big are your balls to do that, to put your players through something so suddenly difficult that they don't know what it is yet. Like, it kind of blew my mind. And then there was another totem encounter later on in that level, which kind of turned the area into a race to try and like run through the platforming, jump over the fire and find the totem. That is an example of platforming that I really enjoyed. I really liked that section. I'm a big Mario fan, and like, I know some people like draw back to Mario to like make fun of the the platforming in Doom, but I welcome it with open arms when it's like that. Mars core mission platforming can, but in the Super Gornest mission, I really liked it. I really appreciated it. Totems, awesome. I hope to see more things like that buff monsters, like the Archvile, for example. Really cool, really dope concepts and ideas. I love id Software's relentless pursuit of like just crazy new ideas, man. Just go nuts. Especially with the master levels. I really want id Software to go all out with the master levels, at least the ones that aren't out yet. Like freaking hit us hard, man. Hit us hard. And I think from here we can move on to the platforming itself in general. So the platforming for me, I actually didn't mind. I thought it was fine except for that mission. I feel like the platforming was a necessary evil for the great levels that we got in this game. For example, in the Art Complex mission, there's a part where you have to jump under a plane that is like half in and out of a building and climb up into the plane. If you remove the platforming elements from this game, the wall climbing, the dashing, whatever, you can't have sections like that. You can't have some of the really cool secret areas that were in this game either. Platforming existed as a way to break the flow, to give you a bit of downtime after these epic arenas and sort of soothe your soul a little bit. But they also really complemented the levels themselves, the exploration, where you were going. If you don't like them, then I would call them a necessary evil. If you do like them, like me, don't really care, you don't really have an opinion, they're just there, they're part of the game, it's cool, then I think they're great, man. I think they really helped make the levels more interesting. Let's talk about the water sections now. Fuck the water sections. That's pretty much all I have to say on that topic. I'm just kidding, we'll go a little bit deeper. I think the water, like where you swim, hurt too much. Like, if you ended up in the water a little bit too long, you lost a lot of freaking health and armor, man. Like, I'm all for difficulty. I played on Nightmare and I loved the whole campaign, but the water sections, I don't know if do the water sections damage more or less on lower difficulties? Because that would be kind of interesting. In the first puzzly water section, I was a massive scrub. In fact, I think both times I was bad. Like, I kind of just like, you know, one-track minded my way into just not seeing the obvious thing that was in front of my eyes. But even still, it just felt bad to explore those places, because if you went the wrong way for more than 2 seconds, you start taking a shit ton of damage. I think if they want to make these cool underground explory sort of, you know, puzzle mazy water sections, they need to reduce the amount of health or damage you take in there and make them a little bit more interesting to explore. Like, literally, the puzzles was like, there's one solution. That is the only way you get through, is hitting that one button. I think if the mazes were a little bit more expanded, there were maybe like 2 or 3 ways of getting to the end, it would be really good. It would be really good, because you'd be rewarded for exploring. You wouldn't be like punished for being underwater for too long. Like, if you don't want people to go in the water for too long and you want to damage them to keep them out, like keep them up and stop them from going in, just don't make the water sections at all. You know what I mean? Like, they clearly don't want you spending too much time underwater, so they damage you to the point where you have to get out of the water really quickly. Water sections could be fun, but I think in Doom Eternal they're more of a pain in the ass than anything. Definitely the weakest part of the campaign for me is the water sections, but they could have been a lot worse, I think. I reckon that it's full possible for them to be even worse, and for that we can move on safely with a solid 10 out of 10 still intact for the rest of the campaign. Alright, so let's talk about the jump pads a little bit. This was a last minute addition to the things I was going to talk about. I think I actually recorded everything like 2 days before I was like, hang on, I should talk about jump pads. Because like, I barely noticed them. I use them a lot, but I never really thought about them. I never stopped and thought, huh, isn't it weird that there are jump pads in Doom? I never once thought that. I actually just really liked the addition. It just meshed so well with the flow of combat in this game. It was great being able to jump over the whole arena and just fire down on enemies as you're flying through the air. That was awesome. I loved it in some of those arenas. I just find it so strange that like the wall climbing and stuff, it's something that like as I was doing it, and the swimming as well, and I was thinking to myself, does this need to be in this game? Like, why are we doing this? But the jump pads, I never once thought that about the jump pads. The jump pads were great. The only time the jump pads weren't great was in the Mars core mission. And the reason for that is because the jump pads weren't used in arenas. They were used mostly to get the player around from place to place. In my mind, and as I'm playing, it's not really a big deal. It's just a subtle thought that comes to you as you're playing. Who conveniently placed these jump pads here to get from one broken rock to another? We just blew a hole in Mars. There's just all these floating rocks and rubble everywhere. And there just happens to be these jump pads that allow us to get from point A to B where we need to go. That's when the platforming starts to get out of hand in my opinion. Using platforming to create interesting level design is one thing, like jumping underneath the plane in Art Complex and climbing up into it, because it's just one wall that you climb. That's okay, I can get with that. But literally, the main form of getting around in the Mars core mission is jumping from rock to rock, from platforming to climbing to jump pads. It was just too much for me. Instead of jump pads in that mission, what would have been really cool is if there were some floating rocks with some enemies on them, and we had to use the Super Shotgun's meat hook and hook ourselves from one to the other. You know, hook to one, kill the guy, wait for our cooldown, hook to the next, etc. Like, this game has platforming in it. The meat hook is like the best platforming mechanic in the whole game, and it is not used for the platforming at all. I imagine if they released mod tools and people could make their own levels, the first thing you would see is people making like platforming racing tracks where the meat hook is on like no cooldown. You can just keep using it and go like Spider-Man levels. I imagine that's something people would create, because that is fun. So I hope in future level designs and things, whatever id's got cooking, that we see some platforming. Maybe instead of these conveniently placed jump pads, we might see some level design that the meat hook is intended to be used with. Alright, secrets and unlockables. Let's move on. The secrets in this game, finding cheat codes, record, vinyls, whatever you want to call them. Awesome, man. Really took me back to old school gaming. Made me feel like I was a little kid again. It was nostalgic. Every time I found a cheat code, it felt a little bit nostalgic in my gut. And I really loved it. Combined with the fortress, which is the next topic. They're kind of short topics, so let's just keep going. The secrets in the fortress, you know, the little doors that you unlock to get upgrades early. The secret that was up top in the fortress, like, just all really, really cool. Yeah, actually, I might speak a little bit more about the fortress right now. So the fortress, I've seen some people say that, you know, maybe the fortress didn't need to exist. In some reviews, it's like, you know, was it really necessary? It kind of just feels like it's tacked on, it's just there. As a gamer who enjoys having fun, I appreciate the fortress being here, because I feel like it really grounded the levels in a tangible way. I feel like it grounded them because the levels are all in very different looking locations, which is great. It's a really diverse looking game. But without the hub world that, you know, makes you feel like you're going to and from these places, I feel like it would have felt really, really like, you know, just clicking a button, go from mission to mission. Whereas, you know, being here, it feels like we're really in this world, we're in this universe, and I think that's really good. And I think that, you know, the secrets and stuff, the skins that you unlock here, was just a genius addition. I always love things like this, like Mario 64, jumping into those paintings. This feels like that, but in a Doom setting. And also that part, that like mission where you come back here and there are demons in here, they've invaded and you have to kill them. That was awesome, man. That was so damn cool. Makes me like think about Mario 64, like what if at one point enemies were in the castle? That would have been sick. They did that in this game and I love it. It was fucking cool. Alright, before I continue going on, I want to find the Doom 64 soundtrack, because that will make me feel good. What's this? Actually, this is good. Into Sandy City. Oh yeah. Alright, back to the review. Let's talk about progression. That is, character progression and player skill learning curve. Character progression will start off with, in this section I was going to go in depth on all of the like different abilities and runes and stuff, but like as I was recording it, it kind of ended up just becoming like a guide and me just giving my personal opinions on the kind of style that I like to play, and it's not really anything to do with the review overall. So what I'll say is everything about the whole rune system and power-up suit and everything, major step up from Doom 2016. I really, really loved it. But in the arsenal, I do want to sort of look at the weapons a little bit more carefully than the other power-ups, because these things are like more interesting, you know? As a Doom player, I love my guns. I love when my guns are good, and I want to give compliments where it's due, and I also want to give a little bit of criticism where it's due. So yeah, let's talk about the shotgun first. Obviously, sticky bombs is, in my opinion, a no-brainer. I don't see why you should ever pick full auto first, unless you're just looking to experiment. The full auto just chews through ammo so fast, and then the final perk just makes it so you get ammo back. I don't think it's worth it. I just don't. Like, this needs something else. It needs something else. Like, what this perk is, it's like, you can use the shotgun more now. But there are so many powerful weapons. I don't see why id Software are trying to, like, you know, give players a reason to just use one weapon. And if players are going to use one weapon, it's not the shotgun, unless, you know, 1 in 100,000 players decide to do that because they think it's cool. And like, for starters as well, at the start of the game when you need to, you know, deal with enemy weak points, a sticky bombs is also great for that. Whereas the full auto is just big dumb shotgun, shoot lots of bullets or shells, you know. But yeah, shotgun's great. I did prefer the appearance of the Doom 2016 shotgun. That, like, is one of my favorite looking shotguns ever though, so it's kind of hard to beat. I hope there's a skin for it, I really do, because it just was more chunky. But I do gotta say that this shotgun is a little less generic looking than most shotguns you see in games, and the sound of it really matches its appearance. So great job there. Precision Bolt is like my favorite addition in this game. It just adds that extra little bit of style into the general combat flow. You're just running and gunning, you know, ripping and tearing or whatever, and then you take a nice, elegant shot, like a quick scope or like a flick shot at something across the map, hit its weak point, and it's just like, that is so satisfying, man. And the micro missiles, like, I'm glad they're still in the game. Not my personal favorite, but I feel like a lot of people, they see this and they're like, I have to pick this first. It's too epic, I have to. And I think that's awesome, man. That is so cool. Definitely did not need any change from Doom 2016. It was great then and it's great now. It's good to see it return. Plasma Rifle Heat Blast is very satisfying. I actually really liked the Heat Blast in Doom 2016, but because the Pulse Wave Bomb or whatever it was called, the one that stuns enemies, was so damn good, it was like you never really had a reason to use the Heat Blast. In this, however, they got rid of the Pulse Bomb that stuns enemies for good reason, because it was overpowered. And now we actually have a reason to use this, which is way more enjoyable in my opinion. It's very satisfying to use. Building up the charge, like, as you're fighting, and then unleashing it and destroying like a bunch of enemies in one go, especially if you've lit them on fire with a flame belch before you do it, is just so satisfying. And then the power surge as well, combined with some really cool sound effects when it finally reaches full charge, and then you just go nuts. I didn't really get to use this much because there are so many good weapons in this game, but like, I love the addition. I'm glad it's there. Microwave Beam, I have the most problem with out of all of the upgrades in the game, probably. Actually, no, I think there's one I dislike even more. Chain Gun Shield, but we'll get to that. Microwave Beam is better on enemies that are already weak. So, for starters, to make this weapon mod useful, you have to damage enemies before you use it. And the benefit of it is that it will hit nearby enemies and cause them to be stunned a little bit. Look at this, man. You have to focus so much attention on one enemy. Hold down that button. If they're weak, it's a bit quicker, but all it does is stun them for like half a second. It's not good enough. It just is not good enough. It's the only weapon upgrade that I never bought because I was like, I'm just never going to use this. I definitely think that something should be done with this to make it better. I'm not sure what. Could I come up with any suggestions? Let me think for a bit. Maybe as you charge it, the area of effect that it's hitting gets bigger. Or, you know what would be cool is if they incorporated some more things that give back ammo. Like, if this gave back plasma ammo from the enemy that dies from it, like, that would make it pretty freaking good. All of a sudden, you got this sort of, like, support style that you can build yourself into. You've already got the shotgun that gives back ammo. Plasma rifle could get back cells. I reckon that would be really cool. Rocket launcher, you know, triple lock-on burst, whatever you want to call it. Can't go wrong with this. Except, okay, here's a problem, and one thing that I'm not too sure about as well, okay? So, I found sometimes during combat after getting this upgrade that it was like not shooting quickly sometimes because it started trying to lock onto another enemy, and I was like, no, just shoot, please. This upgrade kind of made the weapon worse in a way. It really did. However, during the boss fight against the Khan Maker, the big angel looking bitch with the wings, I found that you can actually hold lock onto a single enemy indefinitely, and you could just hold right click and then keep shooting 3 rockets every time, and that was so damn strong. I wonder if it's possible to do that without this upgrade. I don't know. Remote detonate. I watched Zero Master on YouTube before play through one of the master levels. I think that's his name. Please don't be wrong about that. And he was using the remote detonate, and before watching that video I was like dead set certain that this is a piece of shit mod. But he seems to make it work. In my mind, why would I want to keep watching a rocket that I just shot? There is so much going on in this game. You need to keep moving, changing directions, going in and out, left, right, back, center, forward, upwards, down. You know what I'm saying? So like, yes, a proximity flare comes out and you can see it more clearly and then you know to blow it up. But I'd rather just switch guns and just, you know, quick swap weapons and stuff. I don't see a reason to keep this out. It's not rewarding enough. The explosive array, oh man. Like, again, this is probably good when you've lit all the enemies on fire and you want to get heaps of armor back quickly, but there are so many things that do that. Just shoot the rocket at the ground. It'll probably kill all those guys anyway. So, the rockets Remote detonate, I just don't see it, but hey, I'm sure there are some people out there like Zeromaster that make it work. They figure out their playstyle and what's most satisfying for them and, you know, best for them. So obviously there is some potential behind this one. I think if this rocket did double the damage of a single rocket, it would be worth the time. Again, you could also just spec this into like a support class where every kill with it will drop another rocket to pick up or something. I feel like that could be really cool as well. If you actually make use of the flares, you know, just get this like sort of support role going. Not that you need roles, but like, you know, people like to do different things, I guess, in games like this. Different builds and whatnot. Super shotgun, do I really even need to talk about this one? This is my favorite weapon from any game ever, full stop, period. The flame hook, the meat hook, oh my god, man, it just transformed the experience. I think this gun alone, it holds Doom Eternal's identity in it. This gun is what Doom Eternal is all about. You go to the monsters. You don't go around them. You don't let them come to you. You fucking go to them. You take the bull by the horns and you go in, and that's what this shotgun's all about. It's fantastic. The fire sets the enemies on fire so you get armor from them when they die. The loop is so addicting. It is fantastic. Thank you, id Software. You did good with this weapon. The Ballista, a weapon of sheer beauty. Okay, I really like both of the perks for this one. I think they did a fantastic job making both of them usable. In Doom 2016, I never really found a reason to use the mod that wasn't Siege mode. It just felt like a kind of shittier version of it. The Destroyer Blade, instead of just being super freaking strong, it just covers a much wider radius in the form of a blade, and it slices enemies in half when it kills them. In my mind, when I first got this weapon, I knew that Arbalest was probably better in a more general sense. It's more convenient, easier to use, you don't have to stand still for so long, etc. But I still bought this one first because it's so damn cool. And I think that makes this an achievement of great game design. You've given players something really good to use, they know is probably better, but they're picking this because it's cooler. That's fun. That's what game design is all about. I actually found myself using both of these kind of in unison towards the end of the game, especially in the master levels, and I sort of got accustomed to firing this early as well, which took me a little while to get used to. I was just kind of, in my mind, I thought that like firing it quickly would make it weaker, but actually it just makes the wave shorter, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, great weapon, very good design, and I think that's probably the best weapon in the game in terms of like both perks. They feel slightly similar roles, but they're both good in different scenarios. When you can get the jump on enemies, like you freeze them or something, like I had a moment in one of the last levels where I froze a group of enemies and it blocked off all the other ones behind them so they couldn't get close to me, which meant I just had like a clean shot and I killed so many with a single blast. It was really satisfying. I loved it. Chain gun. Mobile turret, need I say more? This thing is phenomenal. It shreds Doom Hunters. It just gets them out of their stupid little tank thing, bike, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know what it is, man. The tray. His little tray that he sits on, it kills that really quick and then you just fucking wreck him with rockets. Easy game, easy life. Energy shield, very cool in theory. I think the appearance of it is awesome. But this perk here, I do not understand. When I use this weapon mod, it's because I want to have a shield. I'm like, yes, I want a shield because shields are cool, or it's helpful right now. I don't want to send the shield away. I want it to last longer. I want it to like stun them like you know, there's a guy in Rainbow Six Siege where he has a shield or something and then you can, like the riot shield which flashbangs enemies if they're looking at it when you like activate it. That's what this should be. It should falter them and also extend the life of the shield. I think that's what it should do. Yeah, the whole flinging the shield at them, I don't get it. But then again, it's cool. I think, like, you know, the appearance of it combined with how freaking cool the chain gun looks in this game. By the way, the chain gun in this game looks really cool, man. Like, way cooler than the Doom 2016 one. Way more stylish, you know, it's got a style to it now. I love the blue. Really damn cool. Back in appearance, obviously the plasma gun or plasma rifle looks fantastic. Assault rifle looks fantastic. Talk about the shotgun a bit. Shotgun's good. I'm still not quite satisfied with the rocket launcher appearance in this game. In Doom 2016, it looked too realistic. In this game, it looks cooler for sure. It looks more arcadey in a good way, and I like it for that reason, but it still doesn't feel like the old Doom rocket launcher, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't. But then again, I don't know how you turn the old Doom rocket launcher into something in this game. How do you make that weird grey looking thing into an actual 3D rocket launcher? I don't know. They did it with this though. They managed, and this looks awesome. This is one of the coolest looking guns I've ever seen in a video game, I think. So original. and unique, and it's just dope. I love it. Ballista, of course, looks amazing. I've got skins on all my stuff at the moment, so sorry about that, but BFG definitely looks better in this game compared to Doom 2016. It's more rounded a bit, and I really like it. I think it looks really cool. The BFG projectile as well is a lot cooler, in my opinion. Unmaker, so glad they included this, man. Like, I was not expecting this to be in the game at all. I kind of wish it looked more like the Doom 64 version though, and I kind of wish its projectiles looked cooler than they do. They're just kind of these little like glowing little fuzzy ball things, and I wish it shot those like dark red lasers like the Doom 64 version. Anyways, I think that's just about it for the weapons. Let's move on to player skill learning curve. One of the things that I thought about towards the end of the game and in the master levels was how I progressed as a player throughout this game. I looked over some of my old videos, some of the early levels, and I thought, wow, man, I sucked back then. Like, what was I doing? Use your grenades, man. Use your flame belch. Do it, please. Like, why aren't you using those things? It took the whole game for me to really, really come to understand the combat. Like, I was making my way through the game just fine. I had got pretty salty in some occasions, but towards the end, and especially in the master levels, I felt like I had truly mastered the combat to some extent. Like, I felt like I had a good handle over all the different abilities. I was weapon switching accurately, not fat fingering as much. And I think it's incredible just like how my skill as a player evolved along with the arsenal. Sure, my skill lagged behind the arsenal quite a bit, but by the end of the game it caught up. And that's why I was kind of so sad that there weren't more master levels, because I'd finally come to learn the gameplay. I just reached that point where I was like, I'm good at this now, I think. And I think just the way, like, from start to finish, the player, they're forced to learn. There's a curve that they have to get around, and if they don't get around that curve and they don't meet the challenge, then, like, good night, man. Good night. You ain't getting through this. And I think it's just really, really damn good that, like, this game goes for, like, the perfect amount of time. All I wish is that there were more master levels, because if there were, I'd have, like, you know, I'd have more things to play at this skill level where I've learned to use everything. Whereas for me, I kind of got used to everything in the last level, and then, like, it was over and I was like, oh, that was so good, but I want more. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's move on to difficulty. One of my biggest fears coming from Doom 2016 was that this game was going to be easy, because Doom 2016 was easy, man. On Nightmare as well, like in the last couple of levels, I refused to use the BFG or grab power-ups because it was so easy. I don't care about winning that much in these games. I just want to have a good experience. I want to feel my freaking, you know, brain burst with just like thinking and focus, hyper focus. I love that adrenaline, and I like to feel like I'm playing well, and that's what it's all about for me, is mastering the combat. I'm just thinking about how the hell I got to saying that when I was supposed to be talking about difficulty. Oh yeah, because Doom 2016 was easy. This game, man, like, this game was hard. Like, there was some freaking, like, Slayer Gates, for example, that pushed me to my brink. Oh my god! This is fucked! I was just like so hyper focused for so long in these arenas that I had to stop playing when I finished the mission. Like, I was just so exhausted, but at the same time, like, that ended up being a benefit because I didn't burn through the game in a single night. I played it over the course of like a week and a half. I got to be excited to play this game every night, and I just, like, that is just phenomenal. Most games, you know, single-player first-person shooters, you get them, you're done in a day. The campaigns are that short, they're never that difficult. And if they are difficult, they're, like, really freaking tedious. I remember playing Halo 4 co-op Legendary, and, like, oh my lord, it was Halo 5. That was a few years ago, though, and I just remember sitting in a little room just, like, taking pop shots at enemies from far away. This game says, fuck you and fuck that. We're getting our hands dirty. Get in there, son, or else you're gonna die here anyway. Getting in there and getting your hands dirty is the only way to win in this game, and it's so good, man. It's so good. I remember, like, you know, over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, thinking to myself, like, is this all that gaming can do? Have first-person shooters reached their limit? And then I remember one day thinking, like, why has no game tried to replicate what Doom did all those years ago? Doom is like the granddaddy of first-person shooters, yet none of the first-person shooters today are anything like Doom. Doom wasn't just good because it was the first-person shooter with 3D, like, well, not 3D, but like, you know, verticality. It was good because it had a smart gameplay elements and decisions. It wasn't just shoot demon, haha, I'm brain dead. No, you had resource management, you had puzzles sort of elements to figure out, you had keys to hunt down, you had to learn the maps, know your way around. There was more to it, man. And the downtime between fighting in that game, finding keys and stuff, was all, it just made for a complete experience that holds up until this day. Again, I don't know how we're talking about this when I'm supposed to be talking about difficulty. Doom Eternal was hard. I was actually going to make a video about difficulty in Doom Eternal before the game came out. I was going to call it trying to convince you to play Doom Eternal on Nightmare, even if you're scared or something like that, because Doom in 2016 was so easy. I was like, I really don't want people to play on like low difficulty in this game because then it will be boring. For me, when Doom Eternal or like Doom 2016 is easy, it becomes boring because it's so like you're not really being pushed. That's when it becomes a dumb shooter. When you push yourself to the next level and you force yourself to learn because you have to win, this game shines so freaking brightly, like you'll go blind. I'm blind right now. Alright, jokes aside, if you can even call that a joke, I don't know. Okay, so let's move on to extra lives. Extra lives are a funny thing in this game. I really just, it doesn't fit well with my gut feeling of Doom. Extra lives don't need to be in this game. I don't think extra lives serve a good purpose at all, and if they do, I think it's countered by multiple negative points. For starters, what seems to happen in this game is you get a bunch of extra lives early on, and then you hit a wall where the game suddenly kicks up in difficulty a bit, and you just lose them all really quickly. And what happens is, all along throughout the game, players are forgiven for their mistakes over and over because they have extra lives. They're allowed to make it through arenas that they're probably not good enough to get through yet. So what happens is players just keep, you know, trucking through the game, pushing through, and then they eventually get to this wall that they can't beat because in the past they're being forgiven for their mistakes or their lack of skill or knowledge or just coordination with all the different things that's going on in the game. Now they've hit a wall, they got no extra lives, and they don't have that knowledge they should have learnt by this point because they were being forgiven. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I just said the same thing 3 times. And the other thing is players who are good enough to play on Nightmare difficulty do not need extra lives in this game at all. I don't understand what the point in them is. In my mind, I don't want to leave an arena unless I feel like I've mastered it. And if I have to use a bunch of lives to get through it, then I don't feel like I've mastered it. I don't leave the arena feeling like I won. I feel like I lost and I'm just being given a second chance because the game's taking pity on me. Extra lives don't belong in Doom, and I don't think there's any way you can convince me otherwise. I think that there's potential to make extra lives work though. I think you could come up with some interesting game modes like getting bonus points for exiting a level with lots of lives. Like say, you know, maybe turn extra lives into more of like a collectible thing where the more that you leave the level with, the more bonus XP or points you get. Another thing you could do is simply reduce the amount that you can carry at one time. I would say just reduce it to 1. I mean, at that point you might as well just remove them from the game. One thing that I really want is an option to disable extra lives. I understand that they might be there for players who, you know, aren't as equipped to play Doom at the Nightmare level. I understand that people play on console, and on console, man, I cannot believe people play this game on console. I'm not like trying to talk down to console at all. I'm impressed. I played Doom 2016 on Xbox on Ultra Violence, and I don't remember having much difficulty, but like, this game's a different story. This game, you've got to do a lot of quick turning. Like, you have to play on high sensitivity, don't you? To any console players out there, let me know. Like, how do you play this game? Do you play on high sensitivity? Are you just fine on low and you're just making your way through anyway? To me, just imagining using a controller, oh my god, man, that terrifies me. Yeah, extra lives, I'm not feeling it, man. I'm really not. On the topic of adding extra modes into the game, and also a pretty decent segue into master levels in a second, I want an Ultra Nightmare master level mode. Once all the master levels are out, I want to see a game mode where we can use all the arsenal that we got through the campaign and just launch a Ultra Nightmare master level version of the campaign from the fortress. I just think that would be freaking awesome, because in my mind I don't want to go back and play Ultra Nightmare normally because I don't want to go back to having no weapons and stuff. I just started getting a handle over all the combat and all the different things that you can do at the end of the game, and I want to keep learning at that point. I want to keep pushing myself with all these different things. I don't want to go back to square one, but I do want to play Ultra Nightmare. Somewhere deep down I want to play Ultra Nightmare, but I would much prefer to do a Master Levels version instead. Master Levels. The biggest disappointment of this game is that there are no more master levels. There's only 2. Why are there only 2, man? Give me the rest. I need them. I need them in my life. So master levels are essentially like New Game Plus. You get to play the game again with everything that you got in the campaign the first time. Go into these missions full powered and there are more monsters. Cultist Base was hilarious, man, because it's like the 2nd or 3rd level of the game and it's pretty chill at the start, but in the master level version, there are monsters in your face straight away. And like it just like, the second that happened, I was like, oh, this is real. This is legit. This is a master level. And that was cool, man. I loved that. I love the master levels. Really don't have much else to say about them, except, hey man, let's put some monsters in the jumping sections. Huh? You know, the grapple, the monkey bar sections where you're swinging down, trying to get to the next area, the wall climbing bits. Throw some Lost Souls in there, I dare you. In the future master levels, throw a Kako in there. Let me try and do some quick, like, skillful shots in between jumping from bar to bar. I'll hit him, I promise. I definitely won't get mad, I swear. Alright, now we get to move on to the really fun part for me, I think. The part that I care about the most, the enemy designs. Yay! Let's start off with the whole, like, addition of weak points. Don't have much to say about this either, other than that was just awesome. I loved this addition. It made the combat feel much more interesting and integral. You know, there were, in the midst of battle, there were things that you had to keep track of and you had to do to give yourself the upper hand. It gave great purpose to the scoped mode of the heavy rifle, or the heavy cannon, whatever the frick it's called, and the also early on grabbing the explosive shot of the shotgun. That also was a great addition just to the start of the game. Definitely made things more interesting. Shooting off the cannon of the arachnotrons, the flamethrowers of the mancubuses, cannons of the revenants. Like, man, a great addition. Absolutely welcome. I don't really know what else you could do for other demons if you wanted to add more weak points. I think it's pretty perfect the way it is. I don't think you want to go doing too much of that. It's got just the right amount as it is, and I reckon just sticking with that would be great going forward. Alright, the most controversial topic of them all, the Marauder. Oh my god, the amount of pussies on the internet, I swear to god, man. Some of the reviewers for this game are just absolute pussies. I've seen outcries on Twitter from respected, you know, I used to play a fair bit of Destiny, and I follow a few of the YouTubers and Twitch streamers, podcasters, etc. And I remember one of them was like, oh, I just didn't lose a single life for the whole campaign, then the Marauder shows up, I lose all of them. Oh, it's such a shit enemy. Deleted from the game. This game's a masterpiece. This guy's a turd. You're a pussy. You're a fucking pussy. Just saying. This guy is not that hard. And people who say he breaks the flow, like, oh, my precious flow, it's being broken. Why do games have to cater to us all the time? Why can't there be a wrench in the fucking flow? Like, why? What's wrong with having an enemy that is so specific in how you fight them that you, like, what's wrong with that? That you have to, like, dedicate attention to them? He's a threat. Threats are good in games because they make you scared. They get your adrenaline high. They make you feel the fear in your bones like you could die any second, and overcoming that challenge is what makes this game shine among all others of its, like, you know, other first-person shooters. Look, I don't want to get too pretentious, alright? I know there are other great games out there. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm starting to get a little bit pissed off just thinking about the fact that people are asking for him to be removed from the game. Stop it! Stop! Remote detonate rockets behind his back. Just easily stagger him and then shoot him with whatever you want to shoot him with. You know, I see people point blank rocketing his shield in some reviews and being like, yeah, he just breaks the flow, man. Like, I just can't play how I want to play. And it's just, he really brings down the experience. Like, mate, your experience was going to be shit no matter what. No matter what enemy was in the game, your experience is going to suck because you're point blank rocketing things. What is wrong with you? If you don't take the time to get a handle over all of the offensive options at your disposal, all of the different ways of attacking and abilities and weapon mods, then, like, why'd you even bother playing in the first place? Call yourselves gamers. I never even read his tips. I saw someone fight him on Twitch once, and then I went and played the game myself. So I sort of had an idea of what to do, but even, like, because I was watching Carnage, and, like, you know, he's alright. He actually impressed me quite a bit towards the end of the campaign. He wasn't quick swapping weapons and stuff like I do, or like a lot of Ultra Nightmare runners play. His attacks don't even do that much damage, I swear. Unless he melees you, like, because you got close enough, then that's your fault, for starters. But, like, you just wait for him to do that green thing. You just stay a reasonable distance away from him. Shotgun, ballista, shotgun. Run away. Do it again. And again, and he's dead. GG. It's not that bad. I think he spices things up in a nice way, and he forces you to be a little bit more careful. I've got nothing bad to say about the Marauder. I think he's fantastic. I was kind of hoping that at some point we'd have to fight 2 of them at once. I still want that. Master levels, come on, please, gimme. Let me do it. I want to see what it's like. Alright, next monster to talk about is the Doom Hunter, because he's also a boss who got added as a regular monster in the later levels. I found this guy way more annoying than the Marauder, man. He takes 2 sword slashes to kill from the Crucible. What bullshit. That is some bullshit. Every time he showed up, I was like, ugh, another Doom Hunter. But at the same time, like similar to the Marauder, I don't care that much. He's just another wrench. This is what id Software are demanding that we overcome. If you're not good enough to do it, then that's it, man. Just admit it, turn the difficulty down, and get on with your business. This is a game about challenge. id Software is setting you challenges, and if you don't want to overcome them, you want to be stuck in your ways and just, be stubborn and refuse to adapt, then just fucking piss off and go play another game. Sorry, I'm getting mad. I probably don't actually mean everything I'm saying. Everyone is entitled to an opinion, and you shouldn't feel bad about giving one. But if you're going to request that something be removed from a game that effort and time has been put into making, then you can fucking suck my balls. Next, before I go and say any more stupid things, let's talk about the Archvile. The Archvile is my favourite enemy from the old Dooms, without a doubt. He has the most interesting kit of them all. He strikes the fear in even the toughest dudes, even all those guys who eat like 20 Wheat Bixes for breakfast. Apologies if you don't know what Wheat Bix is, it's an Australian cereal. You eat lots and you become really good at cricket, that's all I really know about that. But the Archvile is so menacing in the old games. He is super quick on his feet, he can move real fast. His only attack is a line of sight hit scan attack that he charges up. So like he'll be looking at you and he'll put his hands in the air, and then you'll see this fire effect on yourself. And if you don't break line of sight with him within like a second or 2, he does like more damage than a Cyber Demon rocket. And that fear, like this guy is like, he just makes things so interesting in the older games. In my playthrough, I kind of complained about him a bit in Doom Eternal because he doesn't move. He literally just stands still. It almost looks like he's in a T-pose most of the time. He doesn't even know what he's doing. He looks like a dumbass. He also looks like a pretty generic demon. He's dark, whereas in the old Dooms he was like more of a bright, creamy color. In the old games, he gave me the sense that he was like one of the smarter demons, because he was like the only demon who wasn't a human zombie who actually had the same body shape as a human. And it always separated him from the rest. Whereas in this game, he's a bit more generic. Looks like just, same old dark color. A big freaking head, that's like the only unique thing about him. But I had some people in the comments sort of like point some things out to me that kind of made a lot of sense. Like, yeah, his attacks are different, his kit is different, but he still has like similar attacks. And the whole line of sight, like that attack probably wouldn't work very well in this game. This is a very fast-paced game where you're encouraged to get your hands dirty, and the old Archvile style probably wouldn't work as well. So I appreciate the commenters for like saying that to me. Definitely made me think a bit harder and a bit differently about him. And I kind of came to the conclusion that I really liked his addition in the end. He was kind of like a living totem. Speaking of totems, I love the totems. I thought they were really cool. It was actually kind of fun leaving them up for a little bit and just like experiencing an even faster version of Doom's combat. But it just gives you a bit of a blood rush when you see a totem is up or an Archvile summoning these monsters. You know they're going to be really fast and aggressive, and it's like, holy shit, we got to find this guy. We got to kill him. You go all like freaking, what's his name? I'll find you and I will kill you. Liam Neeson, you go all Liam Neeson on his ass and you fucking hunt him down like he killed your son. Know what I mean? Anyways, that's it for the Archvile. I think I'm just happy that he's in the game. Even the name. Seeing the name in this game just makes me happy. I think they could have made him look better. And I kind of hope that going forward they make him move as well, instead of just teleporting, like running. Because he looks kind of dumb. I gotta say, he looks kind of dumb. But his attacks are fine. Definitely cool, like that he summons monsters. Yada yada. Baron of Hell, that is the next monster on the list that we're going to talk about. Oh my god, what a step up from Doom 2016. In Doom 2016, this guy gets introduced and you're like, holy shit, he's massive. But then you quickly find out that he's actually a weak little bitch who just does ground slams all the time. And he dies in like, I don't know, 4 or 5 shots from the double barrel shotgun. The SSG, super shotgun, whatever you want to call it. He just, it was kind of a pleb. He was only hard when there were lots of other demons around, and even then he wasn't that hard to take care of. But in this game, the Baron of Hell, probably the scariest monster for me. He rocks up in a battlefield, and the thing is as well is that they're not even that, I guess they're not that difficult to just dodge and keep fighting, but like, they take up so much space, they're so big, they're actually intimidating. Similar to the Tyrants. They are so freaking big, and they are absolutely worthy of their spot as Baron of Hell. The different appearance as well, the lore, the Fireborn Barons with the fiery flaming blades on their arms, that is just so badass that like fucking just give me more of this game. I want more. I want double the campaign. I want more. Dude, I just... Barons are sick. Absolutely phenomenal job in software. You did it. Very happy. What the fuck? Next thing we're going to talk about is the Cyber Demon. Oops, I mean the Tyrant. The Tyrant. I'm doing that thing with your fingers where you're like, you're just, you know, you're quoting the Tyrant. This guy is a Cyber Demon. I don't care what you say. Awesome. I'm so happy that he's in the game and he looks exactly like they nailed, man. They nailed how he looks. This is a Cyber Demon from the old Doom. I don't know what that thing was in Doom 2016, that so-called Cyber Demon, but he was not a Cyber Demon. He was like some bloody Cyber Demon infused with a truck. This guy is a real Cyber Demon. This guy is like legit. The biggest thing about him is that he's massive and he's intimidating. I don't actually think he's that strong, especially once you got the Crucible. He definitely doesn't fill the same role as the original Cyber Demon in the old Dooms, but he doesn't have to, man. He's not a bullet sponge like that. He's actually quite cool. He takes a bit of damage to kill more so than the other demons, and he can unleash some pretty brutal attacks if you get hit by them. What I wish is that instead of firing a bunch of little rockets, he fired one big one, similar to the old Cyber Demons. You know, if he did that same 3 shots rocket attack that the old Cyber Demon did, this would have been a 11 out of 10 for sure. Like, I think it's much more intimidating when monsters shoot like one big attack, or like, you know, 3 big rockets than a bunch of little rockets, because I feel like whenever monsters shoot little rockets and stuff in games, they're always arse pulls. They're never that strong. Like, I think Revenants can do some little rockets as well, and I just don't care. They're not a threat to me. But yeah, that's just a random opinion, I guess. Arachnotrons being in the game is fantastic. Love them. I think that they kind of failed to make them as satisfying to kill as the old ones. Like, I'm going to play a clip of, you know, killing an old Arachnotron right now. Listen to this noise. Yeah, you heard that? That noise is so satisfying, man. Killing Arachnotrons in the old Doom is like, it's just extremely satisfying. When you shoot them in this game, sometimes it just kind of, I end up shooting them again because I don't actually know they're dead yet. But, you know, glory killing them is fine. Obviously, you know something's dead when you glory kill it, for sure. It's in the name, glory kill. The last monster I want to talk about are not the imps, but the gargoyles and the prowler. I would refer to these as imp variants. These guys really changed up the game in a nice way. These gargoyles, man, they're actually annoying to kill sometimes. Because when they attack, they sort of fly up in the air a little bit and they hover there and they're sort of bouncing around in the air while they do their attack. Their heads are going up and down. I don't know if id Software intended them to be harder to kill just for that fact alone that they do that, but they are harder to kill because of that. Especially early on when you're just trying to kill them with your explosive shotgun. But I love these guys. I think they're really cool. They change up the game in a beautiful way. I love the OG appearance of the soldiers. The zombies are kind of lame. I'm upset that melee doesn't damage them at all, unless it does, and I'm just like, I got quad damage once, and I just melee the fuck out of one of these guys, and they didn't die. Upsetting, to say the least. Maker drones, very cool addition. Lost Souls, barely saw them, kind of unfortunate, wish they were in the game a bit more. But yeah, no, this drone thing was awesome. I love the way you get health and ammo back when you headshot them. Epic mechanic, love that shit. Awesome. Anything else? Carcasses, man, they're actually kind of like lethal. They can fuck you up if you get too close. And the wall thing definitely introduces an extra bit of challenge into the fight. He reminds me of, like, if we were playing chess, he's like the horse or the knight, whatever you want to freaking call him. He's just got some unique abilities that kind of can jump over and get in the way and piss you off, and he's definitely cool. I like his addition. Dread Knights are cool. They give you a nice little warm-up to the eventual fight with Baron of Hells. Hell Knight, good as always. Pain Elementals, great addition as well. Just a stronger Kako Demon with a slightly more threatening, more health. Very good. Pinky's great as always. Prowler, love this guy. I need a drink, man. How do you talk for this long? It's hard. How do people do it? How did that PlayStation Sony conference guy talk about the PS5 so much without having a drink? He's a robot. Yeah, the Prowler's really cool, man. Just introduces, he's just a stronger imp. I feel like this guy should have been in the low class of demons for chainsaws. Like, I don't think this guy should require 3 chainsaw charges to kill. 2 would have been perfect, I think. But yeah, no, I just enjoyed having a teleporting imp in the game that just, like, is just different. Really, like, you know, freshens things up. I don't feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over as much because of this. Rev's cool, Spectre cool, Whiplash. Oh my god, I love this guy. This guy is a very cool addition to the game. Although now that I'm looking at his little picture here with his hair, he looks pretty greasy, not gonna lie. I would not trust him at all. He's a snake for a reason, I guess. Yeah, I really like this guy. I think this guy's a perfect mid-tier enemy that just sort of makes things a bit harder. When you feel like you've been in an arena for a long time and then a couple of these guys spawn, you're like, oh my fucking god, here we go. But they're not that hard to kill or anything. They're just interesting. I think their attacks are cool. They'll fucking get you. That's all I'll say. Buff totems, great addition. I know some people don't really like them as much, but I really enjoy them. Made for some interesting encounters. Tentacles can suck my bum. Actually, I would rather if they didn't suck my bum, but they can get fucked, is what I'm trying to say. they're a fun addition, I guess, but after a while they got a bit old, I think. I wouldn't go over using them for sure, but you know, in some areas, the purple goop spots are quite fine. Definitely made for some interesting scenarios that weren't fantastic, but they weren't bad. I didn't mind them. You kind of need these different situations to come up sometimes that, like, you know, give you a break and freshen you up a little bit after being in these big fights over and over. Things like this have to exist sometimes, and I appreciate it. You don't really notice how much they improve the gaming experience, like, at all, but they do in some ways. We've already looked at weapon mods. BFG, Crucible, Unmaker. In Doom 2016, I never used the BFG in the last level because I thought it was way too strong. It was just dominating, man. It killed everything. It was a get out of jail free card, get out of like 20 jails at once kind of free card. It was really, really dumb. But, you know, Doom 2016, as I said, was kind of like a beta for this game. They were testing things. They just wanted to make it fun. They wanted to make you feel like a badass, feel powerful and stuff. And then this game, they focused on the challenge and the, you know, the intensity. There were way less get out of jail free cards in this game, and I fucking appreciate that to the end of the earth and back. I actually used the BFG in this game, seriously, because I had to. Not because I just wanted to make things really easy, like I actually needed to use the BFG sometimes. I love that, man. I love that. Yeah, I think they did a fantastic job with the BFG balancing. Not every monster dies in one shot to it. That's so good. That is great. Id Software, thank you. Crucible, I think it was really cool when the tyrants come out towards the end of the game. I just go, nope, you don't get to live. You didn't even get to shoot an attack at me. I'm just going to cut you into 3 pieces and off you go. Crucibles are obviously, you know, it's badass. It's a cool ass weapon. It looks awesome. It sounds awesome. I just wish that it functioned like the chainsaw, where every time you use it and an enemy is near you, like it locks onto them, puts you in an animation. But it was a bit inconsistent. Sometimes it does an animation, sometimes it doesn't. It just swipes and it kills. Look at this piece of shit! What is this? What the fuck? And yeah, so, you know, Crucible's cool. Great addition to the game. I love the way that we unlocked it through the campaign. Unmaker. Oh my god, man. I cannot believe this is in the game. I definitely think they could have done better with the Unmaker. It doesn't really maintain that same Doom 64 like appearance or feel. They should have done like red lasers coming out of it with that same sound or something, instead of like the little yellow buzzy ball things that come out of it. I definitely think it has its uses. Sometimes it's good for just deleting an arch file or a Cyber Mancubus when you don't have a sword ammo or something, but like other than that, it's just a cool addition, fun to unlock, absolutely worth the time just for the, you know, nostalgia alone. I'm just surprised they included it, man. Like, that is so cool. Which brings us to the Slayer Gates. I wish I talked about this sooner. Oh my god, man. What an epic addition to the game. There are so many cool things in this game. Slayer Gates just push it to another level. It was, I remember, like, you know, the amount of times I'd go from being intimidated by them to just being excited to get in them. I'm like, back and forth between these polar opposite feelings about them, and you get in there, you lose, but you're like, I'm having so much fun, man. I don't care. Get me in there. Send me in, coach. I want to play more. I would love an in-depth documentary on the development of this game. I want to know what the developers were thinking when they made these things and they realized just how freaking cool they were. And I want to know the conversations they were having with each other. I want to know all that stuff. It's just awesome. It is so cool. I would love to have been there to hear them come up with these things and realize what they were onto. It honestly, like, it blows my mind and kind of makes me a bit emotional thinking about it. What an experience. Playing and making it. Like, that would have been just such an experience. Please, dude! Why is this so hard? my god. That was too much. My jaw is just open, like... That was so much. What is this game? I literally want to cry. I was so scared because that fight goes on for so long. So when if you lose right at the end, it's like you want to fucking die. UI, HUD design, fast travel. The HUD and UI ended up being way better than I thought it was going to be. I got pretty scared when I first saw it in the early gameplay videos, especially in battle mode. But in the end, like, it was actually quite cool. It was fun. It was not invasive at all of my gameplay. One thing I would change if I was doing it myself is I would put the flame belch icon on the left side of the screen, just because it's on the left shoulder. I kept looking over there trying to find it because it's on the left shoulder. That's probably my mistake, if anything, but like I feel like it would make sense over there. An option to move it would be great. Yeah, no, HUD UI, fantastic, apart from like a minor thing. Fast travel, extremely welcomed addition to the game. Like, who thought of that? I don't know, but you're a genius, mate. That's beautiful. Great thinking ahead, planning good. Only problem with it is that the notification for it that tells you that you can fast travel now, it might as well not exist. Basically invisible. When it comes up at the end of the arena and it says checkpoint, like you got a weapon point, you got all this stuff comes up on the screen all at once. I ain't noticing that, man. The fast travel, I'm just like sitting there just like trying to breathe because the fight was so intense. Like, oh my god, I won. Oh my god. And then it tells me that I can fast travel, but I don't see that. I just get in the nearest teleporter and off I go, and I'm like, fuck, I forgot the secrets. No. I feel like the fast travel icon could safely come up on the screen in the middle with big bold text that is impossible to miss because it's the end of the level, nothing else is happening. There is no problem with being invasive when there is nothing else to look at. Just bloody make sure the player knows. The most obvious sound cue in the world, I don't know. But all in all, like, fuck, that is just such a tremendous addition to the game. Absolute props to whoever came up with that idea. So the next thing I want to talk about is the boss fights. I think there's definitely good reason to talk about these. I personally am not a big fan of boss fights, especially in first-person shooters. I think they're really hard to do well. So at the end of the day, I believe a boss fight should be simple, pretty easy, but just epic and fun. Like, I don't really care for them. When they're hard, they're usually hard in bullshit ways, and they just piss me off. I'm here for the core combat, the fast pace, running from enemy to enemy, just slaying out. Boss fights, it's one demon, one big boy, and I'm just not that interested. But for the most part, the bosses were great in this game. The only one I had a problem with was the Icon of Sin, and I know there's probably a million people who would say to me, you're just bad, you're just shit. And you know what, to some extent I agree with them. I've kind of figured out how to beat the Icon of Sin really easily now. The idea is to just go fast, shoot the shit out of him before he has time to do too many punches. From what I can understand, his punch attacks were completely random, in random spots. You could just get unlucky some runs. And that is exactly why I will never play the campaign on Ultra Nightmare unless it's the master levels with my full arsenal from start to finish. The idea that the boss can just do some freaking random attack that puts you to 5 health, like it takes half your health, all your armor, is just insane to me. I never ever like RNG factors in boss fights. I'm down for full-on skill-based. Like there are a lot of times when he punches, if he hits where you are, you cannot avoid his punch. Even if you dash twice, like you have to be so lucky and so aware of what the boss is doing. Meanwhile, you've got freaking pain elementals and barons on your ass and you're trying to sword them and keep your ammo up and survive and find health and chainsaw dudes. And I'm supposed to be looking out for visual cues that he's going to punch and take away all my armor and half my health, or just kill me? No. All in all though, the Icon of Sin was fucking awesome. I'm so happy they even included him in the game. It really topped the experience. It just icing on the cake. Beautiful. But yeah, just, you know, but those little problems I have are pretty personal. Like, I wouldn't pin them on the game as a whole. Just my thoughts, you know. I'm sure people who watched my playthrough understood. I got very salty in that fight, and for good reason. The boss fucked me over pretty hard a couple of times. Don't you fucking dare! That is such horse shit! It is such horse shit. Don't you fucking... What the... He punched me in one spot, and then I was like, oh my god, that's insane. Ran over to the other side of the area, and he immediately punched there as well and just killed me. Like, he killed me in 2 attacks in the span of like 10 seconds. It was insane. And I call bullshit on that. I'm sorry, but I do. Anyway, yeah, bosses are fine. Like, I don't really want to talk about it too much. I'm sure a lot of people love them. Bosses just aren't really my thing. Now, can we just talk about this area here, the Maker Realm? I'm going to load into it right now so I can actually have some backup footage right to go along with this. This place is just next level in my opinion. Let's just take a look. It is magnificent, Samuel Hayden. See, even he thinks it is. Like, it's like, Alright, Hayden, shut up. We're trying to be like... We need this serene space just on its own. No voices. Look at it. Like, I'm a huge fan of the skyboxes in Destiny 2, but I honestly think this takes the cake. I've always thought like, oh man, no one does skyboxes better than Bungie. Look at this shit. There's a freaking halo. It looks so holy and godly. And this rock formation where it's all layered on top of each other, just, it's so cool. Could you imagine being the artists working on this before the game comes out? What you must be thinking, like, it's like, you know, it's like stumbling onto a, like, you know, miracle bloody invention. I'm trying to think, like, the person who first invented the television. Imagine the thought process of that, like, you just made this thing that is going to change the world forever. Alright, hold up. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. No, creating a space in a video game is not as cool as inventing the television. I am well aware of that. I just got caught up in the moment, man. I was getting emotional, thinking about my childhood, growing up, you know, playing this game for the first time while sitting on my dad's lap as a baby. And, well, obviously I wasn't playing it, but like I did pretty quick. I reckon I was probably 2 years old the first time I played. Or at least press some buttons, you know? I don't know if you'd call that playing. To be here and seeing Doom, you know, revived in full force, people talking about it, people playing it, and I'm just seeing conversations everywhere about Doom again. So cool, man. It just blows my mind. I'm just so grateful to id Software for sticking to their guns, you know? They didn't cower in fear of the hardcore Doom fandom, like, you know, with adding new monsters and new things. They just made the game they wanted to make, and it's so, like, it just proves itself. It's honestly amazing, the combat potential in this game. The amount of different things you can do. The meat hook itself changes the game so much. It's like playing Tony Hawk, but it's a first-person shooter. I actually can't play Ultra Nightmare in this game because the game is too fun. I get way too caught up in the moment of each arena. Like, I want to go in. I want to be dangerous and I want to do cool looking things, pull off stunts, you know? I try really hard to play to win and just be safe, but I'm like, but I just want to grapple in there and spin around that guy and shoot him in his ass. Like, I don't know if I'd want to play this game from start to finish really seriously. I just want to have fun. I know I've made a few requests already for this game throughout the video, but I just want to like go over them a little bit more or make a couple of other ones that I just thought up on the spot. Ultra Nightmare, Master Levels. It's gotta happen. That would just be so fun. I could definitely see myself doing that because I just want to keep mastering the full arsenal of the Slayer. I don't want to go back to square one. I don't want to. Even for that gold armor, I don't care. The value of actually just playing this game, the moment-to-moment gameplay and just feeling myself improve and the combat slowly click more and more every time I play, that's what I want. That is the main meat of this game for me. I guess there's a question that I have to answer as well. Is this game eternal? Will this game really stand the test of time in a similar way to the old Doom games? In its current state, I have to say I don't think it will. Unless battle mode takes off with some fantastic competitive scene, I just don't see it. Yes, campaign DLC will bring us back, but just for those missions. Once those missions are done, it's again, we're just left in the dust. What we need is leaderboards. We need different game modes. I'm talking like time trials. Special modifiers, like you can only use the shotgun or no glory kills, like actually rewards for beating the game with those kinds of things. You know, skulls from Halo, think of that sort of thing. That put negative modifiers on the game. I mean, maybe that wouldn't be fun, I don't know. Take a page out of the Slayer gates. Let's get a game mode that is literally like just an infinite Slayer gate that ramps up in difficulty. Maybe a bit bigger in scale. have it be co-op. Let us load in with another Slayer and just go nuts in like a Slayer Gate arena. See how long we can last in there. I feel like those are the kinds of things that id Software can do that will extend the life of the game. Another thing they can do, obviously, is mod tools, but I don't think we're ever going to get those with Bethesda around. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if id Software don't even want to release mod tools. I'd understand that, that's fair. If we could get Doom 1, Doom 2, a server browser in there with like just mods, integrate Doom mods, the older game mods, into Doom Eternal, like, man, that's how I imagine Doom Eternal lasting forever, is by uniting all of the universes from Doom 1 to Doom Eternal, all of the mods in between. That's how you do it, man. I really want to see this game stand the test of time. I want to see people come back to it, be like, man, you checked out Doom recently? There's new stuff, it looks cool. In its current state, I don't see it, but I think that id Software can do it. I really, really do. Can't wait to see what they got cooking. And on that note, I think I'll call it quits there. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.